Into the motion.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President and members of the Senate, I am opposed to this legislation, not because I do not support educational reform, but because this is not the means by which to accomplish that objective. If everyone was on the same page regarding support for children in public education, then we would not be facing the massive cuts to public education that we're seeing, nor will we be, on the other hand, creating something new that will continue to drain from very limited resources. I'm opposed to this legislation because of history and because of my commitment to public education. You see, Mr. President, I stand here as someone who was supposed to be a statistic. If the social science research was to be believed, an African-American child growing up in public housing with a single parent wasn't destined to be standing on the floor of the Virginia Senate. I was supposed to be an unwed teenage mother, a welfare recipient, a substance abuser, a high school dropout, or have a criminal record of some sort. Instead, I stand here. Why? I stand here because I lived in a community that valued education and impressed upon me that value. I had public school teachers who were pillars of the community and would not accept mediocrity. I had a family that said, get as much education as you can. I had political voices in my community, both elected and non-elected, who respected the public education system as the means by which the playing field could be leveled. And they supported efforts to make it so. Those are the voices I choose to emulate, not those that would tell me that public education is so seriously broken that it can only be fixed with charter, laboratory, and virtual schools. For a couple of decades now, there have been many efforts to undermine public schools in this country and here in Virginia. Through vouchers, charter schools, homeschooling, and other efforts masquerading as reform, cuts in funding, programs, and teachers, many public schools have been left behind despite No Child Left Behind. Now what we have are proposals that will create a schism between the haves and the have-nots. The majority of children will be left out. The future of children and their education will be relegated to a game of chance, the luck of the draw. There are those who will say that this proposal is innocuous. It doesn't really do anything. This begs the question, then why is it necessary? Why can't the money drawn from existing schools for these programs simply be used to make the public school system better? Budget cuts means that public schools have fewer dollars to work with and must share those limited resources with these new endeavors. There's something wrong with this picture, Mr. President, when school systems must now charge students to participate in athletics, cut language and arts programs, charge students for AP and IB exams, curtail summer programs, and eliminate many other programs, all in an effort to balance their budgets. I'm disappointed that the Virginia Education Association and other education groups dropped their opposition to these reforms. This flies in the face of the VEA billboard on Interstate 64 that proclaims that children are being robbed because of budget cuts. Yet they will allow those same children to be robbed of what limited resources remain. Finally, Mr. President, I appreciate the work of the senator from Lynchburg, most especially his graciousness and his professionalism. I appreciate the governor and his staff and the Secretary of Education from taking time from their busy schedules to talk to me and address my questions. What we have here is a philosophical difference on the best approach to improve public schools. I happen to believe that providing the resources to the existing system, allowing those systems to be innovative and responsive to the varied needs of children, providing teachers with competitive salaries, and living up to our constitutional responsibility to provide a system of public education that ensures that an educational program of high quality is continually maintained is the means to the end of paving the way for the future of Virginia's children. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Senior